So, part two of what's been going on. And this is, partly to share my journey on a personal level, partly to talk about like what's going on emotionally, also what's going on like in the manifestation realm with me, because that's my lens through which I see things. And something happened. Okay, so let me break down the last bit of what I was saying. So I had my 3 weeks in Denver, and I did not continue doing my job as a loan specialist when I got to Colorado. I could not get myself to do it. It was, it was a combination of things. I wanted the job. One, it was remote. I wanted to accumulate the money, get me out here, etc. But also it's in sales, and I specifically chose a sales job because I had so much resistance to sales. And I wanted to learn more about myself as far as that goes. Like, why do I resist it so much? What is it like now? I've done sales jobs before. Is my relationship to it different now? And the answer is yes, it is different. And I don't need to go into all of that right here. But the way that particular job is, is they have, hmm, they have 2 weeks of training, which is like information overload. And then they send you to boot camp. So now you're on the floor in real time doing the work, and you have coaches that are micromanaging you, which you should be micromanaged at that point if you are new and don't know what you're doing. Even people from other like same job and other places that were doing this job were like, I probably could have used boot camp because there's just the way the systems work is different and everything. But the real time putting it into action under all of the expectation, stress, timelines, like all of that, like we didn't do any of that in training. And the first time we're doing it is in boot camp. Like it was kind of a lot, and I can handle a lot of stress and not ongoing. I'm not interested in ongoing stress, but I love a challenge and I love learning and I love like overcoming information and like getting better at something and becoming more efficient. But the way like this was, I hit my threshold of fucking up. I was like, it shouldn't be this hard. It just shouldn't be this hard. It was just a lot. It was a lot. Um, and without enough return. So, and it's very funny because I've been money focused for the last almost 2 years, where I've been trying to change my relationship with money. I'm feeling emotional as I'm talking about it again. I've been really trying to change my relationship with money, and I'm not really seeing a lot of external indicators of that. So even though I am money focused in that way, I'm not like a commission person. I'm not money focused, like money doesn't drive me like that. I'll give you an example. So one of my coaches in boot camp, as a boot camp coach, she's not making calls, making commission in the same way that the loan specialists are, my job, which makes sense. But she said sometimes she would see a loan come through and she would want to pitch it because she would want the commission. She's like, "Oh, I'd love that money." And I'm like, "I don't think that way. I don't think like, oh my God, let me call this person and pitch this thing so I can get that commission." That's just not how I am. My way is like, I want, ooh, totally feeling so emotional right now. which is kind of why I'm doing this. I wanted to get this through me. My ideal money situation is I'm doing the work that I love in the world and I'm getting paid really well for it. And the people who need it, want it, crave it, have been looking for it, find it, and they pay me. The same way that I have excitedly paid people who are giving me something that I want, that I've been looking for, that I've been on the hunt for. Like, that's who I want to find me. So it's like not a, I'm not trying to like overcome their objections or call them cold and be like, oh, hey, you want this thing? Like, I want it to just be like a right fit in the universe. So I'm pausing again because I'm feeling a lot because I still haven't found it. So part of the story is that I said this the other day, and I'm not choosing to just like let this be my belief. But it is something that has kind of been true historically, which is I can manifest anything almost except like money, except like a surplus of money. Like I can manifest money, but it's like enough. Whereas I want to manifest overflow, surplus, excess, So like I can predict the future for myself, or I can choose something in the future and not be like, I don't know. I don't know if I can do that because I don't know what's going to be going on with my bank account. Like, something I can rely on. So this is me giving myself a session for your benefit. I don't know if it's for your benefit, for your entertainment. There we go. Um, whew, okay. So that job, showing up to it became, I had just so much resistance to it. Like I had kind of met the things in myself that I wanted to meet and the idea, and they also required like 55 hours a week. The pay was like it was more than I had been making for sure, but for the amount of energy that they wanted and the amount of output that they wanted, that's really, I mean, I gauge that shit. I'm like, you want a lot from me for not a lot of return. And because I'm not a commission focused person, that doesn't drive me. I'm like, I want my baseline to be like, I'm well appreciated. I'm well taken care of. My, skills and expertise and time are valued. And then anything else extra is extra, which is great. But that wasn't the case. So anyway, I could not get myself to log back in. I quit the job. I returned my equipment, but they let me keep, they're like, just return the computer and the like breaker bar. So I got to keep my headphones, camera, two monitors. I was like, sweet, sweet motherfucker. So then I started job hunting and also like doing business related stuff. But as much as I have done business related stuff, I don't feel like I've found the thing that's different from what I was doing last year that wasn't working. So that has kind of been a little not in the forefront. And I'm also like reconfiguring what I want to be doing. Again, not in the forefront. I'm not ready to like dive into that right now, but maybe soon. And so I started looking for jobs. Again, I was at that place, the first place in Denver for 3 weeks. So about a weekend, I found a job description that was exactly the job description that I wanted. I had never seen this job description before. It was the title was Customer Success Manager. And this particular one was with a business coach. Um, And it's like helping people who sign up for their programs like onboard and then these long nurture cycles and taking care of the customer and answering questions and selling them into other parts of the product suite. And I was like, this is the exact intersection of what I want to be doing. This is exactly what I want to be doing. Excuse me. If I'm working for someone else. Seriously. And so I applied, and I didn't get any answer. And then a couple days later, woke up and I was like, no, I really want that job. Maybe not at that company, but I want that job. So I used Chat GPT to help me like rewrite my resume to accentuate my skills in that area and started applying for every similar job I could find on Indeed and ZipRecruiter. And I even logged into Flex Jobs, which is not amazing, I'll be honest. Whatever they have going with their AI and like how they're supposed to submit resumes and stuff is not working. So I don't know what's up with that. But anyways, not the point. I paid for 2 weeks of that and that was enough and that was fine. Um, so I applied for those jobs for 2 weeks. I don't think I got any response. I also applied for other jobs as well. And then I left Denver and went to Woodland Park for a 5-day dog sit. And when that happened, something changed in me where I was like, I think I'm gonna be okay. Like these opportunities keep coming up to give me somewhere to go so I can like make it to the next place, make it to the next thing. And so I had 5 days there. I had an interview online on Monday, whenever that was, a couple days into my stay there, I believe. Yeah, I got there Saturday. So Monday, I had an online interview for just a regular customer service position in person in Denver. Online interview, and then we scheduled a an in-person interview for later that week. So Woodland Park is at least 2 hours from Denver. Depending on traffic, it might be more. And was taking care of a special needs dog, and my dog was there too. My dog has been with me on this journey. It's been amazing. I love her so much as she's walking around me doing something. And so I scheduled the in-person interview for Wednesday, and I wasn't leaving until Thursday. And then later Monday, I went to the store, came back, and then I was like, I don't think I can leave for 4 or 5 hours. Um, because the 40 minutes I was gone seemed like a long time to the little special needs buddy that I was watching. So I was like, no. So I emailed and rescheduled for Thursday when I would be going back to Denver anyway to meet with another mom who I was going to be house sitting for her dog. So rescheduled, that was fine. And then stayed there. I still kept applying for jobs. Nothing crazy. My steam had run down. I've also noticed when I'm up in the higher elevation and like the pine trees and stuff, it might just be the elevation, but I just feel very like meh. Like I don't have a lot of fire. Um, so I rescheduled for Thursday when I was going to be back in Denver. Thursday came, I was meeting with the house sitting mom at 2 o'clock, and then I was supposed to have my interview at 3:30. I was driving into town. I did meet with the house sitting mom, went well, and I was going to start sitting for her the following Tuesday. And I didn't know where I was going that night. And I'm low on funds now, and I didn't know what I was going to be doing. And and I had my interview coming up, and I was sitting in the grass with my dog, and it was 100 degrees, and I'm like, I can't leave my dog in the car while I'm going to do this interview. And they also had a parking garage, which would have been cooler, but if ever I leave my dog in the car, I don't want her out of sight. Like it's usually like the fastest run in, come back um thing. Not like where, she's totally out of sight. And so I emailed them and asked if we could do it the following week when I would actually be settled in Denver. And they said, no, we're moving on with other candidates. And I was like, okay. And honestly, I didn't really want that job. That's the truth. I didn't want that job. Somewhere in there, I scheduled an interview with another company with the customer success specialist, but same job as the one I was really excited about. And that online interview was Monday, this past Monday. So last Thursday in Denver, meet the mom. Interview gets canceled. They're not going to hire me for the customer service rep in person for a betting company. That night, I go to Fort Collins and camp there. I also speak to someone who's in Breckenridge who needs a weekend sitter. So then I go to Breckenridge and sit her dog till Sunday. Sunday, I come back into Denver area and get a hotel room so I can wake up Monday and have my interview like in a hotel. So I'm not like on my phone trying to be all whatever, whatever. Had the interview, it went well, and it's with a third party company. So that's a little, I mean, it went well, and she said she was going to forward my information on, but when you're not speaking to the company and it goes well, like it doesn't, like what information is getting passed to the person at the company because there's one more interview layer to get to and get through before getting hired. And I was told that end of the week, which is right now, today's Friday, I would hear. So we'll see if that's true. So I'm trying to work. I'm trying to work. I really want this particular job, the one I interviewed for on Monday, because it's like 4 days a week, 10 hours a day. It's a very competitive salary. And it's, again, the intersection of the skills that I love to use. And and then I also have like my background tape of like, don't put all your eggs in this basket. And I haven't been like, I've still been like looking for other opportunities, putting my resumes in. I've even applied for like a local ice cream shop, just whatever. Like, let me just bring some money in. And then, I'm getting to today. So then I started this house sitting on Tuesday. Monday night was the night I slept in my car. So I started this house sitting on Tuesday, and I'll be here for, well, a total of 3 weeks, so 2.5 now. And it's lovely. The space is lovely. The ability to bop around like this is lovely. If I wanted to do out of state ones, I could do that too. Like I have opportunity for that. But I've also just reached my all of the money that I expected to come in has come in. So everything I could forecast um is has arrived. So I don't have any more paychecks coming in. I had like a $500 check coming from it's a long story. I got that already. That's deposited. And I'm like, now what? And I'm also my hormones are kicking in, which in perimenopause are much more intense than in my personal regular menstrual life in my adult life. So there's a lot, kind of converging right now. And so I feel sad. I feel sad. Um, I love that I'm getting to do this. And I also, I mean, like really, I'm not, discounting that. And I also just like I'm not in the victim state that I was last year. That was very intense, and I don't feel like a victim about it, and I'm not freaking out and whatever. It's just more in the instead of in the earth of like survival, it's more in just like the water and also the ether of grief. Like just, there's a lot of grief there. And part of me is like, oh, everybody's having a hard time. Like it's a very quiet voice, more like I feel like if I share this with people and I mean I'm sharing it now, but if I share it with people like one to one, the story coming back would be like, oh, everybody's having a hard time right now. Like that's not to say that there aren't external factors. Um, but I know what resources I have available and like what options I know how to create for myself. And, I have my own ability to create. And I keep coming against this limitation. And it becomes really exhausting and it becomes really sad. And it's definitely part of like my story in life. Like I've seen it play out regardless of what's happening in the economy or whatever, or the politics or in the whatever. Um, and I'm more aware of it than I've ever been. I'm more conscious about it than I've ever been. And hearing myself talk, which is again a big part of why I'm doing this, is I hear like the things that I want to do to help myself. This is why I'm good at taking other people through manifestation because I can like see their patterns and like what, where to interrupt and what's going on. And it's harder to see when it's my own. But I just like, and I've tried the coffee thing with money, and I'm like, I don't even, I've heard so many people say like once you get a hold of money, like once you get into the frequency of money, like you can't like it kind of like reveals itself to you. These are my words to it, but then you like know how to just kind of step into that. And I'm like, I don't know, like I know what coffee feels like. It's not that I've never had money. Of course I have. So you'd think I would know, but I don't know how to like do the same thing with it. And then I also hear myself when I'm talking about wanting to be able to predict the future, like just in my own, like, okay, I can rely on this and I can rely on this and I can rely as much as an individual can. Like we are all living in wild times. Maybe we all live in interesting times. And so, there are a lot of things that are not predictable, but as much as a person can choose what their future will be, I have not done a lot of that. I have not chosen my future a lot. At least not like I mean, long term is relative. Like for me, long term is like 6 months. I don't think have I ever done that? Have I ever done that? I don't know. So there's my current update. If this is interesting to anyone, it's interesting to me. And I'll be back because I also want to talk about my work and give like goodies, give insight and pieces and all that jazz.